Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Today's topic is going to be the bear versus the eagle, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania. It had been on my heart for several days to continue talking about the bear and how I see the internal revolution starting. I think it already has started. I think it's continuing to grow bigger and bigger. Then in today's news, this is what I see. You're looking at a picture of three presidents standing next to our president. On the left is Raymond Vijanis of Latvia. And then to his left is the president of Estonia, and then Lithuania, and then President Trump. And I think that this is really important when it comes to Bible prophecy. It's going to take a little bit of explaining to understand this, but this is really important. Okay, so let's go to Daniel first. Daniel 7, verse 2. Now this is the great four beasts. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my night vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens drove upon the great sea. In other words, there's four great beasts come up out of the people. Now, simply put, it's simply saying that from the time of Nebuchadnezzar to the return of Jesus, there's only going to be four world kingdoms. Four. That's it. That's all it's saying. I have to make it complicated. That's all it's saying. These four great beasts came up out of the sea, or meaning the people. Diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Now, this particular one is referring to the last world superpowers. It's kind of complicated, but in Daniel, the statue is referring to world kingdoms, and I need to explain this is referring to the last four superpowers, specifically the lion, and we'll go on. The first is like a lion and had eagle's wings. And I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, meaning that America doesn't make it into the New World Order. America is destroyed before the fourth and final world government is formed. The wings thereof were plucked. And it was lifted up from the earth and was made to stand upon the feet as the feet of a man, and a man's heart was given unto it. And of course, America is a very kind-hearted nation, and we help everybody. And it seems like they don't help us, but we help them. Verse 5. And behold another beast, like unto a bear. This is Russia. And it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise and devour much flesh. Now, let's back up and look at that picture, because you may be looking at the picture of the three ribs in between the teeth of it, in the mouth of it. In other words, when Russia begins her rampage, which may not be very much longer, when that happens, these may be the three nations that she overcomes very quickly. Again, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania. Now let's go on. Had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, Arise and devour much flesh. Why would Russia want to destroy three nations that used to be part of the Soviet socialistic republics? Why would they want to overcome these nations? That's the point that I'm trying to make today. Daniel 7:6. And after this I beheld and another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl, and the beast had also four heads, and dominion was given to it. Now, I've got a DVD out, Daniel verse by verse, and it would be very good if you could get that DVD. It's a triple DVD set, because for me to go in and explain this, it's very complicated. It takes a while. I mean, lots of charts and pictures. But to get to the point, this is talking about the Arab Empire, the final Arab Empire. And basically, they divide four nations, and these four nations actually are already divided, and they take the four nations and put them together to form a caliphate, and that gives them the dominion that throws off the curses, and it's complicated, but the point is, for today's point, we just need to know that the next beast is leopard. But now, here's where we're going. Verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast. Now this is your final world government. You see, the statue are four world governments, and then the last four beasts are the bloodlines, the superpowers that overlay just between the third and the fourth governments. So when it's talking about here the fourth beast, it is talking about the last and final fourth world government. It's talking about the time when the beast, the Antichrist, all that sort of stuff flares up. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth, and devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. Meaning, this world government stamps out everybody. This is the beast. And it's not that he's great. It's that Jesus gives him this power and authority. I'll show you. And the reason he does is because this is the last chance. Everybody on earth has to make a decision, whether they're for Jesus or whether they're for the beast. They have to make a decision. Not everybody does. There's a few people that sneak through, but very, very few people. Verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. I believe this to be the beast. Now, get complicated with this. There's a political beast. There's a religious beast. The political beast typically is referred to as the Antichrist. It's kind of complicated. But also, there is a religious beast, meaning the false prophet. And this apparently is referring to the false prophet, and I'll show you why in just a second. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up a little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up. So once again, we have 3 more nations that are plucked up. This guy, when he comes to power, part of him coming to power is plucking up 3 nations. I'm going to show you that. And behold, in this horn were the eyes like the eyes of a man. Some people think, oh, the Antichrist is just a spirit. It's not really a man. No, it's really a man. And it says right there, has eyes like the eyes of a man. If it weren't for that one phrase, a lot of people think, oh, well, it's just some spirit out here. No, it's a real man. And a mouth speaking great things. Now, you see those words there? Remember those. I'm going to show you. We're reading in Daniel, but I'm going to show you exactly those same words in Revelation 13 here in just a second. See, Revelation 13 and Daniel 7 many times overlap and confirm each other. Why? Because in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. Verse 9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down. What does that mean? In other words, at the very end, when Jesus returns, he casts down all other thrones. So this is a picture after the 4 world governments, after the last 4 superpowers, then they're both on that same 4th government, that 4th world power, that 4th beast, okay? It's all the same world government. When Jesus returns, he puts down all other thrones, all casts them to the ground. And the Ancient of Days did sit. That's the Father, whose garment was white as snow, and his hair like a pure wool, and his throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. The fiery stream issued and came forth before him, and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, and the judgment was set, and the books are open. Now who's that talking about? That's talking about Jesus. Wait. You just said that it's talking about the Father. How many thrones are there in the New Jerusalem? Answer, 1. Who sits on the throne? The Father. Who else? And then where Jesus sat? Answer, he sits on the throne. There's one throne. The Father and the Son sat on that throne. I'll show you more in just a second. I'm going to show you the marriage supper of the Lamb here, a little part of it here in just a second. And I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words, which the horn spake, and I beheld even till the beast. This is probably talking about your political or your religious beast, probably the religious beast. We know that the political beast burns her with fire. That's the religious beast. So there's a time when there's 2 beasts. There's a time when there's an Antichrist and false prophet. But the Antichrist will eventually destroy the false prophet. He'll destroy the leader of the church, of the Christian church. And the beast was slain, his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. I consider as the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. That's the nations. They're allowed to live for 1,000 years, but at the end of the 1,000 years, fire from God out of heaven comes down and devours them. Now, this picture is a picture of the marriage supper of the Lamb. Watch carefully. Verse 13. I saw in the night visions and beheld one like unto the Son of Man, that's Jesus, came with the clouds of heaven. We know he comes in the clouds of heaven. Came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. Why? Because this is the marriage supper of the Lamb. Jesus, the bridegroom, stands with the bride, which is the barley and the wheat harvests. We'll have to get to explaining that to you someday. But the barley and wheat harvest, and this takes place at the marriage supper of the Lamb before the Father. And there was given to him, meaning Jesus, meaning the bridegroom, dominion, glory, and a kingdom. Oh, you mean Jesus doesn't have a kingdom right now? No, he doesn't. He doesn't wear the many crowns. He doesn't have the vesture dipped in blood. He is not King of Kings, Lord of Lords right now. Oh, wait a minute, Stan. Oh, yeah, we'll go back and read Revelation. Revelation 1, it says he is the prince of the kings of the earth. That's one of his titles. But his title right now is not King of Kings, Lord of Lords. That happens at the marriage supper of the Lamb. Today, he is prince of the kings of the earth. Revelation 1, go check it out. And they brought him near before him, and there was given him dominion, glory, and a kingdom. That's the marriage supper of the Lamb. He now becomes King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom, that's what shall not be destroyed. These great beasts, which are four world governments. Now, this particular part is talking about the superpowers. So it gets complicated. I need to go in and probably explain the difference between the world governments and the superpowers. And this is really talking, since this is Daniel 7, this is talking more about the superpowers. The superpowers meaning England, America, Russia, and the leopard. And then, of course, the fourth one is the world government. And the leopard, the lion and the eagle's wings is one, you see. So if you number them out, it numbers out 5, but it's actually 4 kingdoms. Anyway, these are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast. This is our point today. This is the world government. See, the eagle's wings have to be plucked. America has to fall before we have a world government. Jesus is not coming back till there's a world government, because he wants all of the people on the earth to come down and to attack Israel, to make a decision who's the wheat and who's the tare, who gets burned and who survives, which are diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful. This is a world government. Whose teeth were of iron, that means it's based upon Europe. Nails of brass, that means it's also based upon the Grecian Empire. So the way we could say it today is it's a European-based world government. Now, it's still world government, because every person, language, tongue, and people will be ruled by this guy. Which are devour and break in pieces and stamp the residue with his feet. Verse 20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, that means 10 global regions. They take the 7 continents, they divide them into 10 global regions. That's the reason it has 10 horns. And of the 10 global regions, that's the way we would say that were in his head, and of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell, meaning this is the 3rd time it's told us that 3 of the nations fall. We're about to explain that. That's the point of today's broadcast. Eat of that horn that had eyes and a mouth speaking very great things. Now, when it says a mouth speaking great things, Revelation is going to tell you that he's given that mouth speaking great things, but he's not good things. He opens his mouth and blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. That means everything good. The Bible, Jesus, Christianity, church, all of the people in the Bible. This guy speaks so much bad about the Bible and Jesus and everything having to do with it. And it's given to him by God as a test to find out who's going to really serve Jesus fully with their full heart. A mouth speaking very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. He will look different than most people today, and that's a topic we'll skip for today. And I beheld, in the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Please notice that. In other words, this political beast, matter of fact, I think this was actually talking about the religious beast, is going to make war with the saints. He is going to say, look, this guy over here, he is God. He is divinity. Everybody got to worship him. And if you don't worship him, we're going to cut your head off. That's where it's going. Same way made war with the saints and prevailed against them. You say, wait a minute. You mean he wins and the saints lose? Yes. And that's the will of God. And it was given him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. That's in Revelation 13. It is God's purpose. And too many things flying in my mind for me to try to explain all this. Sometimes get real complicated. But essentially, it's a test. It's a test to find out who's going to really worship Jesus. Verse 22. And the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom, meaning at the very, very end. Thus he said, the fourth beast, now this is our interest today, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all the other kingdoms, to devour the whole earth, and shall break it down, So tread it down and break it in pieces. Means world government. Now, if you look to the right here, I've got the statue. This is talking about Daniel chapter 2, the statue out of Daniel chapter 2. The head of gold, there's no question. We know what this is. The Bible tells us. The head of gold is Babylon. The Medes and Persians are the arms of silver. The Grecians is the brass in the middle, and then the Roman or the European Empire at the bottom. And then, of course, the feet is part of iron, part of clay. But the point is, it's still 4 world governments. If you try to cut that into 5, you get all messed up. If you try to cut that any other way, it becomes very confusing. It is 4 world governments. The point we're trying to make today is, when Daniel chapter 7 is talking about, he is not talking about all of that. He is only referring to the bottom world government. He's trying to tie in those 4 superpowers with the feet of toes, part of iron, part of clay. But what it's trying to say is that we are very close to a world government. We're not in a world government yet. I can guarantee you. Some people say, well, Jesus could return at any moment. No, he can't. No, he can't. I can guarantee you. Till you see a world government, Jesus is not returning. Let's go on now. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, meaning they take the 7 continents, divide them into 10 global regions. And another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. That's 4 times, talking about 3 kings are subdued. Again, I'm about to make that point. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand till the time that's 1 year. Times and the dividing of time, which is 3.5 years or 1,260 days, or the last 3.5 years of the tribulation. In other words, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in this holy place, then you know from that point you got about 3.5 years till Jesus returns. Verse 27. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole earth shall be given unto the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him, meaning Jesus. Now, let me show you what I think is about to happen. This is a map I just pulled off of Google Maps, and in the dead center you see it's Russia. If you look at the landmass comparison, Russia is huge. Then we see to the bottom is this other rather large, but compared to Russia, still a small landmass called China. Then, of course, bottom left, you see Syria, Iraq, Iran, Turkey. Over to the far left, you see Germany, Poland. And then far left, upper left corner, you see Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland. Now, the point I want to bring you to is the bottom left-hand corner between France and Russia. Now, I've got a different map here. The angel who spoke to Dmitry said the fall of America would start with an internal revolution. Started by the communists, some of the people would start fighting against the government. The government would be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 of the countries would attack and defeat America in 1 day. In 1 hour, so great riches would come to naught. Here's my point. Then God will raise up China, Japan, and many other nations. They'd go against the Russians. They'd defeat the Russians. They'd back the Russians to the gates of Paris. Please look at Paris, bottom left corner, where they would make the Russians their leader. Then under the leadership of the Russians, all the world goes down to attack little Israel. Israel can't count on the help of the Jews in America, so she cries for Messiah. Messiah returns on the clouds of this Armageddon and defeats the armies of the earth. Now, I've long thought when Russia does decide to attack, which, by the way, could be coming here very short, and that's one of the points I want to make today. It could be that this will be overcoming Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. That's one of my points today. It also could be that they're going to be overcoming Germany, Poland, and Belarus. But what we do know is that the bear, on his march all the way down to Paris, will overcome 3. Now, which of those 3 is it going to overcome? Well, it'll seem to me like it's probably going to be Germany, Poland, and Belarus. Matter of fact, I think in my DVD, Daniel verse for verse, I said my guess is, I don't know for certain, but probably the 3 would be Germany, Poland, and Belarus. However, in light of what just happened today, let me show you something else. These 3 nations to the left here, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, just stood up next to President Trump. Let me just remind you, these are former Soviet states. They joined Russia's number one enemy, United States, in 2004. They joined NATO in 2004. Russia wants them back. And unfortunately for Russia, these three nations, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, want freedom. And we have to ask ourselves, is this a source that is angering the bear? Are we doing things to make the bear angry? Is Trump's friendship making the bear angry? Remember, as I said yesterday in yesterday's program, and I'm about to show you again, part of the prophecy that was given is that the bear is going to grow angry and strong. And I believe that's happening right now. Just this past weekend, with Fox News, it had Senator Lindsey Graham. Now, this is not an exact quote, but it's pretty close. He said, well, if you really want to hurt Russia, what you do is I'd go down and steal the oil business of Russia's European customers. Guess what they're just announcing today, just today? Announcement is that these NATO allies are purchasing large quantities of pressurized natural gas, which is cutting off part of which is the primary source of income for Russia, and that is oil. In other words, it seems like maybe Trump is not intentionally trying to make the bear angry, but it seems to me like this is kind of the hand of God, kind of on the nap of the back of the eagle, with God's hand on the back of the eagle's head, pushing it right down into a mess. And at the same time, he's slapping the head of snake, that being the Russia, he slaps the head of the snake and makes it angry. It looks to me like, this is the point I'm trying to make across, it looks to me like the hand of God is making the bear that's already very strong pay off her debts, controlling a lot of power these days, probably at this point the number one military on earth. Trump wants to think it's America. Well, good luck with that. It's not. But God is making the bear angry, and it seems like we are the one doing the angering. Could it be? Could it be that this alliance with Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania that just happened just today, could it be that these are the three nations that are overcome? Let's go on. Now, I covered some of this recently in another broadcast, but I look at it like this. If Sean Hannity can say almost the same thing every night in his broadcast, maybe there's a point to that. Maybe I need to be saying some of the same things more often when the same things need to be said. So this is one of them. This is a great bear, and this is a summarized version, but basically Dimitri Duduman, the Lord showed him a very large bear. It was as big as a building, and it began to do battle with an unarmed man. The angel said, do you see what I've shown you? A voice said, this is how it will be when the hardships come over America. No one will be able to defend her. Only those that trust in me will be spared. Now listen to this. Everything will start as a heavy rain on a sunny day at a time you least expect it. Could that be that today? We also read this recently, also April 1997. It's called The Bear Awakes. I want to get to the point. He was shown this vision of a bear seemed half dead lying on the ground, looking in the very center of the text. As I would continue to watch the bear, it began to breathe deeper. With every passing minute, it seemed to revive itself. As I watched, it also became angrier. That's happening today. It then continued to begin to grow. Soon it was larger than the forest floor, and it grew larger and continued to become angrier. Then it began to paw the ground so that when the paw hit the ground, the earth would shudder. Well, they just fired off a bunch of rockets. I think the earth is shuddering. The bear continued to devastate all in its path, and I think that could very well be Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Could also be Germany, Poland, and Belarus, too. But my point is the bear could be very close to striking. Devastate all its path until it came upon some men with sticks. That's your NATO powers and what's left of America. Trying to fend it off, by this time the bear had grown so large that it simply crushed the men underfoot and continued to rampage. I was stunned by what I saw and asked the man standing beside me, what does this mean? The angel said, as it will begin to stir once again, they will consider it harmless. Oh, that's exactly what we did. Suddenly, it will grow strong once more with purpose and violence. God will blind the eyes of those that continue to trample on the sacrifice of Christ's blood. Who's that? That's the Christians. That's America. Until the day the bear will strike swiftly. Means no warning. You won't get a warning with a bear. Putin's already told you that. He's not going to give you a warning. This day will catch them unprepared, as it will be just as you saw, the man said. Tell my people the days are numbered and the sentence has been passed. Means you're not praying this one off. If they will seek my face and walk in righteousness before me, I'll open America's eyes that they may see the danger approach. But if they only look toward the approaching danger, they too will be caught up and trampled underfoot. Only in righteousness will they find protection. You see, this is not our home. Our home is a new heaven and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. A new tabernacle, a new Jerusalem. That's our home. This home we're only passing through. We have to understand that. We have to keep our mind in the right place. Then January 21, 1995, also from Dimitri. I was standing, I turned my head as ordered. When I looked, I saw a great flock of blackbirds. Very large, sharp, large beaks. I believe this is a group of enemy Russian airplanes. Out of the beaks came a blinding light, which you could barely look at. From the tails, I saw flames of fire shooting out. This flock of birds suddenly turned into airplanes and didn't make any noise. How do you get an airplane moving through the air today without making any noise? You got a prop, you got a jet. They both make noise unless it's anti-gravity. American airplanes would go up trying to attack, but that as they would draw close, they would fall to the earth in a blaze of fire. Now, I believe this is what the prophet is describing. Looking at an airplane doesn't have to be anything fast, doesn't have to be anything powerful. But basically, there's a big light detector that blinks on the front of it, kind of like a flash bulb. And it sees things by reflecting light as opposed to reflecting radar. Then we know that the Russians, several years ago, like in the last 10 years, announced that they had perfected the ability to send a bolt of lightning down a laser beam. So all you have to do is you have a bright light on the front of the plane blinking. That it defeats stealth, or you'll still see the stealth airplane. And then with the laser beam, you put the laser on it, and then you send a bolt of lightning down the laser beam, take it out. Not that complicated. But it can take out all of our stealth. It can defeat everything. Now let's go on. January 21, 1995. I heard a voice. Couldn't see who was speaking to me, but the voice said, look higher than the black plains. When I looked above the plains, I saw a helicopter hovered above them. On the side of the helicopter, there was a plank, like on a ship. Soldiers are lined up, dressed in black, all the same, at about the same size. From the center of the helicopter, a platform began to rise up. It rose higher than the helicopter itself. On the platform was a throne. Now, this is the point, real important. The Pope was on the throne, yelling with a loud voice, I've been given power to rule the earth and to fight against the Protestants that I may overtake them. I think probably my best DVD, or one of my best DVDs, is Revelations on Revelation. And in case you don't remember the story, I memorized the book of Revelation, didn't think I was really going to get much out of it. I didn't memorize it to really get anything out of it. But boy, did I. And I started getting these revelations. I put it into this DVD, and I wish I'd had this 40 years ago. I think it's extremely important. Thought the DVD was finished, thought the revelations were over. Made the DVD, and then the revelations kept coming. So I made another DVD called Kings and Priests. More revelations. Thought the revelations were over. They're still not over. And so I just made another third DVD called 17 Secrets in the Feasts and the Trumpets. Then I'm about to make a book, which I may be talking about here later on. Anyway, we've got some awesome deals on these DVDs. Go to prophecyclub.com. Check them all out. Make Prophecy Club your point. Your point is to help us to spread this information to other people. We just made another fantastic DVD with Dr. Bree Keaton. Is Trump our Patrick Henry? A lot of really good information. prophecyclub.com. This is King James or 400 Counterfeits. All there. Many brand new DVDs. Just made them. Point is, if you don't have Jesus in your heart, now's the good time to ask him in. Because God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I put up some scriptures here that basically what you have to do, you have to admit you're a sinner, ask Jesus into your heart, and then live and walk with him. You do that, and I will see you in heaven. God bless.